Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News with me, James Dunn. On tonight's show, a Grimsby man sets foot in a minesweeper for the first time since he was injured in World War II. And a Royal Marine who survived being shot in the head tells us about his experience in the Navy. And Tom Reed gives us the results from the weekend sport. But first, here's Erica Barker with the news headlines.
Hello, the headlines today. 450 council workers face redundancy in Hull City Council's budget proposals. Hull and Grimsby feature in the think tank Creative Cities, and over 1,000 people visited HMS Grimsby. Budget proposals for Hull City Council could result in 450 people losing their jobs. The council has already had its government grant funding reduced by £48 million over the next 2 years, which could also see cuts to services. And in a new report by think tank Creative Cities, the City of Hull has come in the bottom 10 for private job sector creation. It also has the lowest employment rate and would need 16,500 residents to find a job to bring the city up to the national average. Grimsby was 7th for being the best in new business startups, but also within that group was the highest for business closures. The report also showed a migration of young people out of both locations to London. A 39-year-old suffered injuries to his hand after being attacked with a chisel. The incident happened on Sunday at a property in Ramsgate, Louth, when 4 to 5 males arrived on the premises and attacked the occupier. The man was treated in Grimsby Hospital but later transferred to Hull Royal Infirmary. An innovative award-winning approach to mental health was showcased in Grimsby. Devised by Chris Payne, the holistic service included analysing a person's overall well-being and physical attributes, as it's been found that those with severe mental illness are more likely to suffer with other illnesses.
We have always focused very much on what you could describe as being from the neck up, which is mostly about the mental health needs. But lots of research over the years has shown us that actually there are so many other factors that are involved in a person's mental health needs, really, and physical health is one of those really big factors because it can reduce life or mortality rates. So there's quite significant lower life expectancy for people with severe mental illness. And I just thought that was wrong. I mean, in principle it was wrong, and as a clinician I really wanted to do something to address that.
Millions of Jewish people and others killed during the Holocaust have been remembered in services and events held across our region. At the Grimsby Institute, staff, dignitaries and students paid their respects, with presentations delivered on the importance of learning from the past and community inclusion.
It is about community, isn't it? This idea of preventing big catastrophes like Holocaust happening and being safer and stronger together.
National Breakfast Week is being promoted in schools within the region. Teachers say that eating before school can make a huge difference to a child's happiness, concentration and achievement in the classroom. Yet nutrition workers from North East Lincolnshire Council say too many children go to school without eating.
A lot of the children come to school and they haven't had breakfast. They're either late up or the parents are rushing to work, things like that, so they don't have time to eat breakfast. It helps the concentration, it gives them energy, and it just gets you started for the day.
Over 1,000 people braved the wet weather at the weekend to visit HMS Grimsby during its stay. Since its last visit 2 years ago, the Minehunter has undergone a £3.9 million refit. On Saturday, when it opened to the public, there were long queues. Commanding Officer Captain Simon Kelly said coming to a port like Grimsby was a great opportunity for the public to see one of the Navy's state-of-the-art ships, which protects the UK's trade interests abroad.
Well, clearly Great Britain has a long maritime tradition, but I think what we forget sometimes when we click on Amazon and order something, effectively 95% of all the goods that come into the country come by sea. And so maintaining the safe environment for those goods to come in is absolutely essential, not least fuel, gas coming from the Middle East across through those sort of key choke points through the waterways across the UK is absolutely essential.
I think it's essential that people can see where the money's spent and what it goes on. And
£100,000 has been secured to create a new sports and community centre at Gunners Playing Field. The money for the project was awarded from the Landfill Communities Fund by the Veolia Environment Trust. Fundraising will continue to get money for the second phase. And that's all from me. Until next time, goodbye.
Thanks, Erica. Now, for many, a chance to get a glimpse at one of Her Majesty's mine hunters was a first. But not for one man who hasn't set foot in one since he was stationed here during the Second World War. He met his late wife here and has lived in the town ever since. I went to meet Charles Ross, members of the crew and some more of the people who visited the ship. It was the first time HMS Grimsby had been to her namesake port in 2 years, and people came in their droves from far and wide to take a look.
Well, I've come from North Derbyshire and we've got family and friends at St Navy as well, and we thought it'd be a nice opportunity to bring some family up to actually visit, you know, like an on-site, you know, real touching, real feeling experience.
Like I say, I'm an ex-commando myself, so promoting the services in general and giving them a chance to swap over and talk to each other, I think is very good. I think it's important for the future of any of the forces to get local talent, young kids, to inspire them to come and join and do something what I consider to be quite special.
And the crew were more than happy to have them on board.
This is Grimsby's ship, and it's really important for us to maintain that link. We're very, very well supported by all our affiliations here, and so to bring them on board and to allow them to come on board and visit the ship is very important.
Among the visitors was Charles Ross, who hadn't set foot on a minesweeper for nearly 70 years.
This place where we stood now was the biggest minesweeping base in the world during the last war. The last time I was on a minesweeper was the 5th of July 1944. That is when we got blown up. We were torpedoed off France and I spent 5 months in hospital. But the ships are nothing like what they used to be when we were here, nothing at all. But let's face it, they were trawlers converted into minesweepers.
The ship has state-of-the-art equipment to locate and neutralise mines.
The mine warfare guys will be inside the ops room, they'll find the mines and then we'll basically go away and dispose of them as they see fit.
What will that involve?
That'll involve us diving to depths of up to 60 metres and also placing explosive charges onto the ordnance so we can dispose of it in a safe manner.
And although this is a friendly visit, they must come prepared for the worst.
Well, in this day and age, it seems prudent to have some sort of what we call force protection on board, which is our gun crews all roaming around the upper decks, all armed. You know, all over the world, there are examples of vessels being attacked, and in this day and age, in this current climate, it seems prudent to have people on the upper deck armed at all times. We have miniguns, general purpose machine guns, SA-80 rifles, and a 30mm gun that's actually mounted on the forward end of the ship.
And it was, of course, a big hit with the younger crowd too.
I like this ship because it's massive.
Do you fancy being in the Navy?
It wouldn't come up first in my list, but if I had the chance I would.
Prior to the arrival of HMS Grimsby last week, the Royal Navy sent the presentation team to the town headed by two local men, Lieutenant Dan Marsden of the Royal Navy and Corporal Ollie Coolbeck of the Royal Marines. The pair grew up on the Wybers Wood and went to primary school together before going their separate ways at secondary. Dan joined the Navy in 2009 and has served on the Ark Royal. Ollie joined the Marines in 2005 and has seen active service in Afghanistan, and on one occasion was shot in the head. We join him as he's recounting that story to reporter Emma Lingard.
Well, I've been out in Afghanistan for 8 days. I went on my first ever patrol, and I remember that it was going down one alley, deemed it too dangerous, went down the next alley, and there was a guy on the roof with a gun, which is quite a common scene out there. People are security guards. Kids here, they get PlayStations when they're 13s. Kids out there get AK-47s. Thought nothing of it. He then started shouting at us. We didn't speak Pashto, he didn't speak English, so he did the next best thing and fired upon us. Subsequently hit me in the head.
But you survived?
Yeah, if I'd been any taller, it would have killed me. If I'd been any shorter, it wouldn't have hit me. So it was literally just good enough for the perfect story.
But then a couple of years later, you're in a truck travelling, which was then blown up by an IED. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, again, that was 19 days into the tour. It was almost 2 years to the day later, 10 days difference. And being out there 19 days, we went on a little operation in a place called Kandahar. And I remember we'd been on the road for a while, going down a big road. And I was the 11th vehicle in an 86 vehicle convoy. And we hit 80 kilograms of HME homemade explosive, which is like TNT. And it went bang. I broke my left leg, my left arm, 2 ribs, dislocated a shoulder and a small shrapnel scar.
But that's the realities, isn't it, when you joined the services? I mean, what happens every day? What goes through your mind when you know it's part of your job to go to these particular war zones, isn't it?
Well, you do know you're going there. Obviously, you know the risks before you join up. You know that you may go to operations. You know, you don't think you're going to get hurt all the time. You know, if that makes sense.
Because why did both of you decide to take up military careers? Because you're here tonight in Grimsby to present to the town. I mean, why choose a military career?
Well, I had quite a family connection to it. I've got a pretty big family in Grimsby, and a lot of my uncles were in the Navy. My dad, who's not from Grimsby, he was in the Navy as well for 12 years. And I saw what it made him the man he is today, basically. And he went from being a 15-year-old kid with no qualifications, and he's really well set up now in a good career. And I saw that, and it really appealed to me. When I was younger, my brother was talking about maybe joining the Marines as well, and it didn't pan out for him. But it's sort of been in my blood, I suppose, from a really young age. I've always known I was going to join the Navy. I think I was about 6 years old when I told my mum and dad I'm going to join the Navy, and I did it in the end. Yeah.
I personally, I've always fancied the military, but I hadn't always wanted to be in the Marines. To be honest, I didn't know much about the Marines until I came to college doing a uniform service course. I then found out a bit of information, thought I'd give it a shot. The rest is history, but I still like coming back, giving presentations of what I've done to date. As 10 years ago, I was in the same position at college, not 100% sure what I want to do.
Thanks, Emma. Now, here's Tom Reed with the results from the weekend sport.
Hull City beat Southend 2-0 in the FA Cup with a double from Matt Fryatt. They now face Brighton in the 5th round. In League 2, Scunthorpe drew 3-3 away at Dagenham and Redbridge. The Iron were 3-0 up, but were pegged back 3-2 before the game was abandoned after 86 minutes. But 10 minutes later they resumed and Luke Norris scored an equaliser for Dagenham. In the Skrill Premier, Lincoln drew 2-2 against Woking with goals from Nat Brown and Ben Tomlinson for the Imps. It could have been a different story, but Paul Farman saved an injury time penalty from Giuseppe Sol. Grimsby's long trip to Wrexham was in vain as the weather caused a last-minute postponement. In the Toolstation Northern Counties East League Division 1, Goole lost 3-0 to Colville. Captain Kyle Colley has since been sacked after walking into the stand and threatening a Colville supporter. Cleethorpes Town and Grimsby Borough both had their games postponed. Cleethorpes could have gone top with a win against Pontefract, but instead Bottersford Town took top spot with a 4-0 win against Shirebrook Town. Lincoln Moorlands Railway suffered another nightmare result, losing 7-0 away to Basford United. Barnetby United lost 4-0 against Epworth Town in the Carousel Hospital Cup second round. Brigg Town lost 3-0 at Romulus FC in the Evo Stick Northern Premier. North Ferriby United drew 2-2 with AFC Telford and remained top of the Conference North ahead of Hednesford Town by 1 point. In ice hockey, Hull Stingrays lost 6-1 at home to Coventry Blaze, then 6-4 away to Nottingham Panthers, having gone 6 games unbeaten before the weekend. In rugby union, Market Raisins' game against Paviers in the Midlands 1 was postponed.
Now, don't forget that if you know of any local stories or issues, get in touch by phone on Grimsby at 315561, on Facebook or Twitter at Estuary TV, or email us on the news@estuary.tv. That's it from us tonight. We'll see you next time.